So my name is Christopher James Pirelli. Everybody calls me Chris. I own Dojo Muscle, Dojo Videos, and I also own a company named Pixel Mob. And Pixel Mob has been working with entrepreneurs in the fitness industry for the last decade, creating info product launches and productions. I've worked with people like Tim Ferriss and Mike Boyle and Patrick Beath at Athletes Acceleration, and pretty much anybody who's a who's who in the fitness world, along with the top elite guys like Brandon Beliso and Zulfi Ahmed and Duke Rufus, Alan Belcher. I've worked with so many people, John Cassidy, John Bazard, so many people in both industries, and I've had the ability to see how both industries are right now at a huge rising point, right? But my talk today is exactly what you just mentioned, exactly how sometimes some of the MA people, the martial arts people, are a little small-minded in some senses, and we're going to change that. With everybody that's in this group, we're looking to change that and grow your mindset, because behind everything, as you know, Alan, as a fighter, mindset is everything. It's not even like I've seen in jiu-jitsu tournaments where people who are not even as talented as other people just come in with that killer mindset and literally dominate. And they're not that good, but they just have that mindset that takes over everything else. And I think that we need to really cultivate that mindset a little bit better in this industry, because from seeing both industries, there is a little bit of a lag in the martial arts industry when it comes to marketing and branding and promotion and stuff like that. And I don't think it's anybody's fault per se, but I think that we can all, as leaders in this industry and as influencers, we can all do our part to kind of open up the doors of thought and say, okay, wait, maybe there's a little bit better way. Maybe there's a bigger way to think about this. And that's what my talk is going to be about. So let me start by immediately saying that we're going to go dark before we go light. So I'm going to shine a light on some of the problems of what's going on in this industry, and not just the industry, but social media as a whole. And then we're going to figure out some solutions that you can use to harness it. You can use your own marketing in your own marketing and branding. And something that you mentioned, which is the reason this entire talk is coming about, is this one thing that a lot of people are missing in their branding, their marketing, their videos, their content. And it's this one thing that I've seen over the last 15 years. We've been hired by every industry, every sector of business and paid very well to do that and get results for people. And I've seen this one hack, this one tip, this one trick that you can employ in your own marketing that will definitely change everything that you're doing going forward. And once you understand it, it's so simple that I think that most people kind of pass it up. But once you understand it, it's really kind of groundbreaking and life-changing to your own endeavors. So let me jump over here with the slides. And I got slides, I figured, so you don't see my ugly mug babbling for the whole time. All right, so like I mentioned, Alan, can you see that?
Oh yeah, I can see it. Looks great.
So like I mentioned, we're going to get a little dark before we get light, and we need to understand the problem of what is necessarily inherent in not only just the martial arts industry, but in social media as a whole, right? One of the things that I found I actually didn't go this year. I've been in the past in Vegas, the Super Show, but speaking to a lot of people at the Super Show, no one's really talking about video. I mean, people are talking about video in the light that, you know, you need to use Facebook Lives and create videos for yourself, but nobody's really actually harnessing the power outside of a few select individuals. Now, Melody Schuman's doing it, Alan's doing it, Stan Lee is doing it with animated video. You have a couple of schools out there that are doing it, but hyper martial arts guys, Jason and Roland, really understand this concept that everything that you put out to the world is an extension of your brand. Now, we can consider that marketing. Your marketing is an extension of your brand. And I'm going to touch on that in a minute. But really, one of the problems is I have a couple of notes. So if you, let me just bear with me for 1 second. All right. So if you think about it from a perspective of every single person is walking around with a phone in their pocket. They have a camera in their pocket. This creates the ability to film video at any time and anywhere, but it also has a problem with that gives you the ability to also become lazy. And we're going to talk about that in a few slides ahead. But I just wanted to just touch on this, that it seems like almost every other industry out there is really crushing with video and using video to the best of their ability. And the martial arts industry is kind of lagging behind a little bit with that. I don't really know why, but I hope to fix that or be part of the solution to fix that in the coming slides ahead. So first and foremost, okay is bad. I said this, I'm going to say it again. Branding is an extension of your culture. Marketing is an extension of your brand. Everything that you do says something about you. So the idea that direct response can't afford to use good design or good branding or any type of direct response videos can't use good branding and high quality is, in my opinion, a silly one and something that needs to be overcome. Direct response of any sort doesn't have to be ugly. It doesn't have to be ugly to be effective. I think that there's a change now, as you see, like Russell Brunson and all these guys that are using funnels. They're really taking the time. Stu McLaren, matter of fact, Stu McLaren just did a launch, and I think he did 4 million on his launch, and his branding is impeccable. And a lot of people are really focusing on understanding that your brand is an extension of who you are. You're not going to show up to a job interview in bummy sweatpants and dirty sneakers, right? Because what does that say about you? There's a reason why people buy nice watches. There's a reason why people get dressed up, buy nice cars, because it all speaks on the status of who you are. So ultimately, if you're not going to take your brand seriously, it's very difficult for you to expect other people to take you seriously. If I'm not going to come to the job interview in a nice suit, nice tie, well clean, well shaved, and be serious about it, it's hard for me to get that job. So we have to understand that okay is no longer okay. Okay is actually bad. We have to try to raise the bar on what we're doing all across the thing. Like, you got to think about it like this. At the end of the day, you spend a lot of time on your culture. You spend a lot of time on your curriculum. You spend a lot of time in sales training and what goes on inside your school. Well, what goes on inside your school is an extension of your culture. That extension outward is your brand. Your brand is often the first point of contact that somebody is going to have with you. So if you don't spend more time on building that brand and building everything that you do, the content that you put out, all of that is part of your brand. If you don't spend more time building that to a higher level of quality and thinking bigger, you know, I've been doing this we have Dojo Muscle now open almost 7 years, and I've worked with we're moving in on 500 schools at this point. And I find it odd sometimes that most people want to just get by, get through the week, get through the month, and instead of thinking long term, like one of the things that we've had the privy and the front row education with a lot of internet marketers and people who have built enormous gyms in this country have said is like, I got into this business and immediately I sat down when the rubber hit the road, I really started to think long-term, like what do I want to build, and then work backwards from there. Instead of saying, okay, I need to pay my bills next week, next month, how am I gonna just make it to there? You should really start to think about like long-term goals and work backwards from there. So one of the things that is a huge problem in social media is the oversaturation, specifically with video. Now, to give you a little backstory, in 2010, when we started going online and building our Facebook page, I used to, memes were all the rage back then. 2010, we built our fan page to 15,000 fans and followers, right? And I did that all of just posting. And I remember watching the Facebook algorithm and the EdgeRank go up, where we had literally 1-2 million people reach. You don't get organic reach like that anymore. So back then, you could be pretty confident in the fact that any type of post you put out to the world is going to be seen. So we were doing 7 to 10 posts a day. But if you study what's going on now and the algorithm and how it's changed, that is no longer effective. Matter of fact, that will actually get you penalized a little bit. This is the theory behind it. Facebook has such an over influx of new content on a daily basis, specifically video, that you're fighting with not only attention from other people, but other businesses and everybody else putting content in. There's only so much that Facebook can show your fans or the people who gravitate towards what you're selling. So the way around that, and all of the content creators that I know that are really crushing it these days are now taking a different approach. And that different approach is to do less, quality over quantity. It's instead of posting 10 posts a day, try to figure out. So what Facebook is doing is like, they're saying, okay, what is relevant to the people who follow your page? Let's show them whatever content that you create that's relevant to what they want. If you're not posting relevant content and you're just posting just to post, you're actually going to kind of penalize yourself. And that's why that I see so many school owners, they put out videos and they put out posts and they'll have like 100 views on it and stuff like that. And that's not, I don't want to say that as a snide way or a condescending way that they shouldn't be doing that stuff. You should be trying to do new stuff on a daily basis to see what works with your audience. But I think the problem is that we still have that mindset of more posts are better. And I found that quality posts are better than quantity posts. And that specifically with video, that there's so much video right now. I think last time I checked, I think Facebook and YouTube are like neck and neck with the amount of video that's coming into the social media platform on a daily basis and being uploaded, that there's so much video, Facebook just can't show all the video to everybody you'd like it to show, even when you're paying for it. So you need to spend more time creating actually great content. And we're gonna get into actually how to create great content in a moment. But I wanted to say, so those are the problems, right? So we know what the issue is. There's an oversaturation of content being put onto social media on a consistent basis. So how do you get around that? You develop quality content. And how do you develop quality content? Well, it's actually pretty easy once you understand what you have to look for and what you have to do. So that being said, that you have a very small window of opportunity to capture somebody's attention. So you need to jump fast. What I mean by that is that your videos that you're creating should really delay the sale. You should really be looking to pique interest in your videos as opposed to trying to sell them to get to click to a link, sell them to get this, or per se, sell them to sign up for your program. Pique interest, build trust, build repertoire, and build that conduit first. Then as time goes on, you can get them on a list, then sell to them that way. But I found, and I've tested this out in my own world, that initially when I first started to do the online stuff and the info marketing stuff and create videos and trailers for my own business, we try to get the sale quickly. And it might work in some senses but I think for a long-term strategy, it's better to delay the sales as long as you can, build as much interest, give as much value, pique as much interest as possible, and then go from there to try to sell them. I think if you go online, everyone's selling something. Literally, everyone's selling something to somebody else at all points of the day. And people are savvier than they've ever been, and they're more skeptical than they've ever been. And rightfully so. I mean, every single time I open up my email, I have more emails from people selling me stuff than I actually have emails from people trying to connect with me and talk to me about something, or internally. So that's a big deal. You have a small window, you need to jump fast. I would suggest you pique interest in your videos. So how are we gonna do that, right? I call it passioned positioning. Passion positioning is what you need to be doing in your videos, and I'm gonna explain exactly what that is. Now, Alan mentioned a little while ago about emotion. Ultimately, passion positioning is putting the emotion that your target market is putting the emotion that drives your target market. So for instance, a jujitsu program, you mainly have adults. Like let's talk about adults for a second. Adults are coming to learn jujitsu because they want to feel more confident. They want to lose weight. They want to get in better shape. Maybe they want to feel more empowered. For females, they want to feel that they can protect themselves. Same thing for men. So you're not necessarily selling chokes and throws and rash burn and stuff like that. You're actually selling the emotion behind it, the driving force behind it. And I think that if you focus more on the emotion than actually trying to talk to people, you'll have a lot better chance with your videos connecting than as if it's just a straight sales pitch, or if it's just, hey, look at my program and here's their offer and whatnot. And while all those things can work in some scenarios, I think that what we're all longing for, all of us, is more engagement, more connection. We are in a digital world where we connect with people via screens. So the more that we can connect to each other in an emotional, engaging way, the better it is going to be for everybody, and not just in a business sense, but as a social sense. So here are the 5 key things that you can do in your videos every time that will give you that passioned positioning. Now, emotion is, like I mentioned, it's the tip of the spear. It is the top of the list, and that you should be, when you're creating your videos, thinking about exactly how you're going to connect emotionally with others. Now, you could connect emotionally in so many different ways. Like, I could literally go on for 5 hours about this, but just to give you a rundown, ultimately, people have a driving force of why they're coming to your program. You want to display that driving force. If people are coming, let's say for a jujitsu program, for instance. Now, I trained jujitsu for quite some time, and jujitsu can be very intimidating to people who do not train jujitsu. So, you know, the idea that you can show camaraderie, family, fun, that it's a safe environment. And this all can be shown visually. It can be shown in a story, as somebody who's gone through your program, telling the story about how it's changed their life. You can show it via action footage. A movie, like a clip of video, can tell a story without actually having any words, lines. That's one of the most powerful reasons. It's one of the biggest reasons why video is so powerful, because it connects on so many different levels with people and so many different senses, unlike any other medium out there. If you think about other mediums, right? If you think about any sales setting, for instance, a funnel, if you think about copywriting, if you think about direct marketing, if you think about branding, all of it is trying to simply elicit an emotion, right? Copy is written so that it hits emotional triggers, so that it'll trigger you to respond and act. The same thing goes for video, but the video, but when you deal with copy, or you're dealing with visuals, specifically for copy, when you're dealing with copy, you as a viewer have to sit, read it, digest the information, and interpret it, and then act on it. When you're watching video, you really become just a viewer at that point. You're a spectator, and all you really do is you're feeling, whether you feel it or you don't feel it. And there's a lot of videos out there that people are putting out, but there's just no feeling in there. And without that emotion, it's going to be really hard to connect with your audience. Now, under the emotion point, there are a couple of other key points that you can mix in there to really harness that connection, which is quality. I'm a big advocate of quality. Everybody should try to raise their bar on everything. You don't want to show up to the job interview with dirty sneakers and bummy sweatpants with holes in it. Raise the quality. Hire somebody to do it. Matter of fact, I'll even say that there's a lot of stuff that you can do yourself. Like I mentioned, you walk around with an iPhone camera. An iPhone in your pocket. It's a camera. It will record insane video. And almost every single martial arts school owner, besides like the one-man show, anybody that has staff, almost every single school that I've talked to has 1 or 2 young people on their staff that are already filming stuff. They love to film stuff. Get them going with that stuff. They could take out their iPhone and literally create videos all day long. Entertainment, inspiration, and education. So those are the things that you want to mix in to your videos. High quality entertainment. You can entertain people in a ton of different ways. Inspiration and education. You build that all together with emotion, and you have something that really will connect very well to your prospects. Moving right along, we're at 16 minutes. I gotta make this a little quicker. So one of the things that I wanted to say, as mentioned before, do less but do better. So instead of just doing post after post after post, think about what you want to create. Think about what you want to put out to the world. Think about the story behind exactly how you're transforming lives. And I'm going to give you an exercise to do. Every day, or every day is going to be a little bit tough. So let's say every week. Every week, I want you to write down a story, either about something that you've seen, somebody who's a student in your school, a transformation, or something that has either inspired or in something that has lifted somebody up. I want you to write down the story. It doesn't have to be more than 2 paragraphs or paragraph. And you can literally use that as your boilerplate to create videos going forward. You could talk about it on Facebook Lives. You could have these quick little 2-minute videos that you talk about on your iPhone and put it out there. But storytelling is how we've been communicating and engaging with each other since the dawn of time. So I suggest that every week, create and write down in a book, grab a pad or whatever, write down one story that either something that someone said in your school or has inspired others, or the transformation someone has gone through. Write that down, and before you know it, you'll have a repository of stories that you can go off of. So I suggest, again, do less, do better, measure 10 times, and cut once. So having the camera in your pocket makes it easy to be really able to connect and make these videos constantly, but it also gives us the tools to be lazy. When telephoto lenses came out a long time ago with movies, people were saying movies became stale because people were using telephoto lenses. Before that, right, any movie created before telephoto lenses came out, to get a close-up shot, you actually had to pick up the camera and run over to the person and film really close to them. But with the advent of telephoto lenses, you could zoom in, and it gave you the ability to be lazy. The fact that there's so much content out there, and a good portion of it, the majority of it, is not so good, is because people have the camera in their pocket. They can turn it on at any time, and they can film anything, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to connect. Spend more time figuring out what you want to say as an extension of your culture than just filming and doing stuff just to do it for the sake of doing it, because that's kind of being lazy. We want to avoid being lazy. So finally, I'm a martial artist. We are all martial artists. At the end of the day, martial arts is unlike any fitness gym out there. I've worked with fitness people for a long time, and I love the driving force behind the fitness industry, but there's something near and dear to my heart for martial arts because it's changed my life greatly, and you change people's lives immensely from the inside out. Whereas like other programs, when you're working out at the gym, you're changing the way you look outside. Maybe you're changing a little bit inside, but literally the martial arts takes people who are weak and makes them strong, and it takes the strong people and makes them humble. And that is a hugely impactful, powerful thing. And I really want to say that a lot of people need to we need to start acting like the leaders that we are. And it's because I think in a time that we live in right now, with what's going on in the world, martial arts is needed more than ever before. It is needed to help people understand about themselves, understand how we need to respect each other more. And it's really something that should be at the forefront. It is now mainstream. It used to be very avant-garde and, you know, like 1980s, but it's mainstream, and we need to start acting and developing our brands like we are the professionals that we are, because that's what it is. At the end of the day, you're really growing people's lives. So that's what I got for you guys.